The JFK assassination, was there only one shooter? Hello, history enthusiasts and seekers of hidden truths. And welcome back to the Hidden Hour. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most perplexing and debated events in modern history, the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. On November 22, 1963, the 35th President of the United States was gunned down in Dallas, Texas, in a tragedy that shook the world. The official investigation, led by the Warren Commission, concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald, a lone gunman, was responsible for the crime. Yet, over 6 decades later, questions linger, fueled by conflicting evidence, eyewitness testimonies, and a labyrinth of conspiracy theories. Was Oswald truly acting alone? Or was the assassination the result of a larger, shadowy plot? We'll meticulously examine the events of that fateful day, scrutinize the official findings, delve into alternative theories, analyze forensic evidence, and reflect on the cultural and historical impact of JFK's death. So, settle in, grab your notepad, and join us as we unravel this enduring mystery. The assassination took place during a presidential motorcade through Dallas, Texas, as part of Kennedy's campaign to strengthen political support in a key state ahead of the 1964 election. At approximately 12:30 p.m., as the open limousine carrying Kennedy, First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy, Texas Governor John Connally, and his wife Nellie passed through Dealey Plaza, gunfire erupted. Kennedy was struck in the neck and head, sustaining catastrophic injuries. Connally was also hit, wounded in the chest, wrist, and thigh. The limousine raced to Parkland Memorial Hospital. But despite frantic efforts, Kennedy was pronounced dead at 1 p.m. The nation was plunged into mourning, and the world watched in shock as a vibrant leader was cut down in his prime. Within hours, police zeroed in on Lee Harvey Oswald, a 24-year-old employee of the Texas School Book Depository, a building overlooking Dealey Plaza. Oswald, a former Marine with a troubled past, was arrested after fleeing the scene and allegedly killing Dallas police officer J.D. Tippit 45 minutes later. A Mannlicher Carcano rifle, linked to Oswald through ballistic evidence and a palm print, was found on the 6th floor of the depository, along with 3 spent shell casings. Eyewitnesses reported seeing a figure at the 6th floor window, and Oswald's behavior, leaving the building shortly after the shooting, further implicated him. 2 days later, on November 24, Oswald was fatally shot by Jack Ruby, a Dallas nightclub owner, while being transferred from police custody. Ruby's act, broadcast live on television, stunned the public and ignited speculation about a cover-up. In response to the assassination, President Lyndon B. Johnson established the Warren Commission, chaired by Chief Justice Earl Warren, to investigate the crime. After 10 months of interviews, forensic tests, and reenactments, the commission released its 888-page report in September 1964. The report concluded that Oswald acted alone, firing 3 shots from the 6th floor window of the book depository. 1 bullet missed. 1 struck both Kennedy and Connally, the controversial single bullet theory, and the 3rd delivered the fatal headshot. The commission found no evidence of a conspiracy involving foreign governments, organized crime, or elements within the U.S. government. The report was intended to provide closure, but it instead became a lightning rod for controversy, with critics questioning its methodology, omissions, and conclusions. The single bullet theory is perhaps the most debated aspect of the Warren Commission's findings. According to the report, a single 6.5 mm bullet caused 7 wounds, passing through Kennedy's neck, exiting his throat, and then striking Connally's back, chest, wrist, and thigh. The bullet, recovered on a stretcher at Parkland Hospital, was remarkably intact, leading skeptics to dub it the magic bullet. Critics argued that the bullet's near-pristine condition defied physics, as did the complex trajectory required to cause so many injuries. The timing of the shots, 3 fired in less than 6 seconds using a bolt-action rifle, also raised doubts about Oswald's ability to act alone. The Zapruder film, a 26-second home movie shot by Abraham Zapruder, became central to this debate. The film shows Kennedy reacting to a shot, Connolly appearing to react moments later, and the fatal headshot that killed the president. Critics pointed to the backward motion of Kennedy's head as evidence of a shot from the front, challenging the idea that all shots came from behind. Eyewitness accounts added further complexity. Dozens of witnesses in Dealey Plaza reported hearing shots from multiple directions, with many pointing to the grassy knoll, a small hill to the right of the motorcade. Some claimed to see figures or puffs of smoke in that area, suggesting a second gunman. Others described hearing 4 or more shots, contradicting the Warren Commission's 3-shot scenario. However, eyewitness testimony is notoriously unreliable, and the Commission dismissed many of these accounts as inconsistent or unsupported by physical evidence. No additional bullets or shell casings were found, and the grassy knoll theory relied heavily on anecdotal reports. The Zapruder film remains the most vivid and scrutinized piece of evidence. Frame by frame, it captures the horror of the assassination, Kennedy clutching his throat, Connolly slumping, and the gruesome headshot in frame 313. The Warren Commission used the film to establish a timeline, calculating that the shots were fired within 5.6 seconds. However, critics argued that the film contradicted the single bullet theory, particularly because Kennedy's head appeared to snap backward, suggesting a shot from the front. Later analyses, including computer simulations and ballistic studies, have supported the Commission's timeline and the feasibility of the single bullet theory. But the film's ambiguity ensures ongoing debate. Some experts argue that the backward motion of Kennedy's head could be explained by a neurological reaction or the jet effect of brain matter exiting the skull, while others insist it points to a second shooter. Oswald's background and behavior are critical to understanding the case. A self-proclaimed Marxist, he defected to the Soviet Union in 1959, lived there for 2 years, and returned to the U.S. in 1962 with a Russian wife, Marina. He had ties to pro-Castro groups and visited the Soviet and Cuban embassies in Mexico City weeks before the assassination. His political beliefs, combined with his purchase of the Mannlicher Carcano rifle under an alias, painted him as a disaffected loner capable of violence. After the shooting, Oswald fled the book depository, killed Officer Tippit, as confirmed by eyewitnesses and ballistics, and was arrested in a theater. His actions suggest guilt, but his motives remain unclear. Oswald claimed he was a patsy, hinting at a larger plot, but he never had the chance to elaborate. Jack Ruby's murder of Oswald deepened the mystery. Ruby, who had ties to organized crime and a history of erratic behavior, claimed he killed Oswald to spare Jacqueline Kennedy the ordeal of a trial. However, his connections to the mafia and his presence at police headquarters during Oswald's detention raised suspicions that he was silencing Oswald to protect a conspiracy. Ruby's trial and subsequent death from cancer in 1967 left many questions unanswered. The Warren Commission concluded that Ruby acted alone, but his motives and affiliations continue to fuel speculation. Conspiracy theories emerged almost immediately, driven by distrust in the government and the case's unresolved ambiguities. One prominent theory implicates the CIA. Kennedy's presidency was marked by tensions with the agency, particularly after the Bay of Pigs fiasco in 1961, when a CIA-backed invasion of Cuba failed. Some believe the CIA, fearing Kennedy's plans to reform or dismantle it, orchestrated the assassination. Declassified documents, released under the 1992 Assassination Records Review Board, revealed that the CIA withheld information from the Warren Commission, including details about its surveillance of Oswald and its plots to assassinate Fidel Castro. While these omissions suggest incompetence or secrecy, no direct evidence links the CIA to the assassination. The Mafia is another frequent suspect. The Kennedy administration, led by Attorney General Robert Kennedy, waged a relentless campaign against organized crime, targeting figures like Carlos Marcello and Sam Giancana. Some theorize that the Mafia, possibly in collaboration with rogue CIA elements or anti-Castro exiles, retaliated by killing the president. Jack Ruby's mob connections lend credence to this theory, as do reports of Mafia involvement in CIA plots against Castro. However, concrete evidence of mafia orchestration is lacking, and the theory remains speculative. The Soviet Union and Cuba were also considered, given Oswald's ties to both. The Cold War was at its peak in 1963, and Kennedy's handling of the Cuban Missile Crisis had strained relations with Moscow and Havana. Oswald's visit to the Soviet embassy in Mexico City, where he reportedly sought a visa to Cuba, raised suspicions of foreign involvement. However, the House Select Committee on Assassinations, HSCA, which reinvestigated the case in the 1970s, found no evidence of Soviet or Cuban complicity. The HSCA did conclude that there was a probable conspiracy, based on acoustic evidence suggesting a fourth shot from the grassy knoll. This finding, derived from a police dictabelt recording, was later challenged by the National Academy of Sciences, which argued that the recording was unreliable. The military-industrial complex is another proposed culprit. Kennedy's push for détente with the Soviet Union and his reluctance to escalate U.S. involvement in Vietnam reportedly alarmed defense contractors and military hardliners. Some speculate that these groups, fearing a loss of influence or profits, conspired to remove Kennedy. This theory, popularized by Oliver Stone's 1991 film JFK, is compelling but lacks direct evidence. It reflects the broader climate of mistrust in the 1960s, as Americans questioned the motives of powerful institutions. Forensic and ballistic evidence has been re-examined extensively. The autopsy, conducted at Bethesda Naval Hospital, was criticized for its rushed nature, incomplete documentation, and alleged discrepancies. Some claim the autopsy photos and X-rays were altered to conceal evidence of a frontal shot. The brain, which could have clarified the bullet's trajectory, was inexplicably lost. In 1992, the Assassination Records Review Board released millions of pages of documents, shedding light on some issues but also revealing gaps, such as missing CIA files and inconsistencies in witness statements. Modern forensic techniques, including 3D modeling and advanced ballistics, have largely supported the single bullet theory, demonstrating that a single bullet could cause the reported wounds. However, questions about the autopsy's integrity and the chain of evidence persist. The cultural and historical impact of the assassination cannot be overstated. Kennedy's death marked a turning point in American history, shattering the optimism of the early 1960s. It eroded public trust in government, paving the way for the cynicism of the Vietnam War era and Watergate. The assassination also fueled a cottage industry of books, documentaries, and films. Oliver Stone's JFK, while criticized for blending fact and fiction, galvanized public interest and prompted the release of more records. Polls consistently show that a majority of Americans, over 60% in recent decades, believe the assassination involved a conspiracy, reflecting the case's enduring hold on the public imagination. The assassination also raises broader questions about power and transparency. The CIA's withholding of information, the FBI's failure to monitor Oswald closely, and the Warren Commission's rushed investigation suggest institutional failures, if not deliberate obfuscation. The release of classified documents, mandated by the 1992 JFK Records Act, has clarified some details but left others unresolved. As of 2025, some records remain classified, fueling speculation that the government is hiding the truth. The Biden administration's decision to delay full declassification, citing national security, has only deepened skepticism. So, was Lee Harvey Oswald the lone gunman? The Warren Commission's case is strong. Oswald's rifle, his palm print, ballistic matches, and his post-assassination actions point to his guilt. The single bullet theory, while initially implausible, has been validated by modern science. The Zapruder film, acoustic evidence, and eyewitness reports, however, keep the possibility of a second shooter alive. The CIA's secrecy, Ruby's mob ties, and the HSCA's findings of a probable conspiracy suggest that the full story may be more complex than a lone gunman. A plausible middle ground is that Oswald fired the shots but was not entirely alone. He may have been influenced by anti-Castro exiles, mafia figures, or rogue intelligence operatives, without a grand conspiracy orchestrated by a single entity. The lack of definitive evidence for a second shooter or a larger plot tilts the balance toward the lone gunman theory. But the case's ambiguities ensure that it will never be fully resolved. The assassination's complexity reflects the messiness of history, where truth is often obscured by conflicting narratives and human error. The JFK assassination is more than a crime, it's a lens through which we view trust, power, and the search for meaning. The loss of a charismatic leader, coupled with the turbulence of the 1960s, created a void that conspiracy theories filled. Whether Oswald acted alone or not, the assassination exposed vulnerabilities in American democracy and reshaped the nation's psyche. It reminds us that some mysteries endure not because they are unsolvable but because they speak to deeper truths about our world. As we close this exhaustive journey into the JFK assassination, we thank you for joining us on the Hidden Hour. If this deep dive into one of history's greatest mysteries has sparked your curiosity, please give us a like, share this video with your fellow history buffs, and hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for more episodes. Your support fuels our mission to uncover the truths hidden in the shadows of the past. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and we'll see you in the next adventure. Goodbye for now.